Hey y'all. Just figured I'm about due for an update, and some things have been worked on. Now, you'll have to excuse me. This video is not going to have much to show. It's mostly going to be me talking, and unfortunately, there's probably going to be a few videos like that because a lot of the work that's being done is stuff that's underneath, and it's not really much for me to show. But I wanted to go ahead and give an update anyway. So I'm trying to remember exactly where I left off in the last video, but the front end has been aligned, so it steers way better now. It turns out it was way off. I'm guessing Aaron put the new tubular control arms on, which you can sort of see on here, but then probably got them close and just never got a chance to get it aligned. Because up until he passed, he had the car for at least a couple of years. I don't think drove it once. He'd been working on it the whole time. So that's another reason why I'm really having to go through everything, because I don't know kind of where he stopped. To that end, I think he had to have been doing a lot of work on this car while unfortunately the cancer is starting to take over. He's getting weaker and weaker because I'm finding bolts that are really loose all over the place, front to back, top to bottom. So I'm really having to go through and make sure I double check. And of course, there's so much stuff, and I don't know what he touched and what he didn't. I mean, we were close and everything, but we didn't talk about this level of detail, as when we lived 300 miles apart. But when I was doing some checking on the engine, there are spark plugs that were just barely tightened. I mean, the crush sleeves weren't crushed, so that might have been part of it. You feel like you tighten, you feel like you've done it, but he was so weak, and I don't think he truly felt a sleeve crush. Kind of case there. I don't know if it's something he did or if it just came loose, but this washer on this bolt was so loose I could spin it. So I checked the torque on all those bolts, so I got all those back down. To that end, the intake manifold, I verified that is actually tightened down. So what else? Oh yeah, and checking the spark plugs. There's a little carbon fouling, but this thing runs a little rich. I expected that, and it's no big deal. But I stay in touch with some of his friends. So we were all kind of friends, and they were saying that he had told them that this thing was losing a lot of oil, and I still trying to figure out what else going on with that. It doesn't really smoke out of the tailpipe. It doesn't really drip on the ground. I mean, I fixed a couple of things where some stuff was loose, and so there's hardly anything on the ground under the entire car. I mean, this thing's actually in really good shape. So it seemed like if it was losing oil, it wasn't losing much. Then it so happened, I was over here and I was checking on the dipstick, and of course this dipstick, it's got to be replaced. It doesn't even really fit in here. It's not attached anywhere, so I need to replace that. Find a good replacement. Unfortunately, though, the ones with the tabs that bolt to the headers, I can't use those. These headers are so friggin' big. These are 1 7/8 primaries on a small block. So there's just really nothing to attach to, so I'm going to have to try and figure out some kind of custom job. But in any case, I changed the oil, and I only put about 300 miles in the car since the oil changed. Like, okay, well, let me check the dipstick. The oil was barely touching. I mean, my heart just sank. Like, holy crap, a couple more drives, I might have locked up the engine and not even know. So I topped it off. And I bought a can of Restore. I'll probably put that in there just in case there's something else going on here. Now, when I was checking the spark plug, so happens I have a bore scope, and on top of each piston, in almost exactly the same place, there's a tiny little puddle of oil. Not much, just a tiny little puddle. So the valve seals are probably going bad, which of course is a major job. So I'm just going to kind of monitor that and monitor it much more closely now that I know it's losing oil at a much faster rate than I had thought. Now, as far as also losing oil, underneath the engine, you would think if it was losing oil while it's running or revving up or something, there would be oil all underneath the bottom of the car, and there's not. It's pretty clean. So again, I'm scratching my head. I mean, I can see where some oil is being lost, but not to the tune of a quart per 100 miles. So I'm still working on Um, Otherwise, the thing still runs great. What else have I done? Oh yeah, the rear end has been rebuilt. Again, that's just not something I can show. Now this has, again, the tubular control arms in the front, and that's all upgraded. In the back, it still has the original control arms, although it does have poly bushings in it. But those bushings are easily 20, probably more, maybe even 30 years old. So, to make the back match the front, I did pick up some tubular control arms, just a full setup, upper, lower, that's frame mounts. So I'm gonna get those in. Now, I started trying to do it. I mean, I have the knowledge, I have the ability, I have the tools, but doing work like that on jack stands and slide your back around, there's no room to work. I'm like, okay, you know what? This sucks. I do a lot of work on my own cars and save a lot of money doing it. But, you save money in some places so that you can spend it in others. And this is going to be one of those times. I'm just like, you know what? Forget it. There's a really great shop nearby, somewhat nearby anyway, and that does great work. And they want the guys that did the rear end. Fantastic job, good guys. They're a full service shop, but they do a lot of work on classics. So yeah, I'll just have them do it. It's not an expensive job for a good shop, and they should be able to do it in a couple of hours. I don't mind paying that for their labor rate. And their labor rate's pretty fair anyway. I'm trying to think what else. And again, there's not much to show because there's so much like under the behind the scenes things that I'm doing right now just to make everything nice and clean and keep everything going. So see, I get those control arms in. And when I did the rear end, it used to be a 273 open. It's now a 308 posi. So obviously I need to change out the speedo gear in the TH350. It just really isn't very hard to do. It's just a little side piece on the tail shaft. And then I am going to replace the speedometer cable because that's shot as they drive the car. First it's off, and then the other is the sweep, and you get to certain speeds, it just bounces all over the place. So yeah, it sometimes makes some noise. So yeah, the cable's kind of shot. So I'll go ahead and replace that. Yeah, some more audio system I need to do. And then, yeah, of course, the interior. The interior is where I'm going to finally be able to start showing some progress that you can see. But I'm just not there yet. I mean, any of y'all who worked on restoring cars, you know that the interior is the last thing you do. So I'm just not quite there yet. So yeah, sorry guys, it's probably a really boring, kind of stupid video, but I just wanted to kind of bring folks up to speed. And so anybody who is kind of keeping, following along with me, one, I appreciate that. The other is, yeah, unfortunately, I'm just going to have some boring videos here and there for a while until I can really show something visually. So that's kind of where I am. Again, the biggest thing here, I'm scratching my head on where all that hole's going. Other than that, thanks for following along with me, and I'll try and keep everybody posted. Y'all have a good one.